NFL Week 5 is here. Let's see if we can find some winning plays on this week's edition of Game Day Gambles over here on the KC Sports Authority podcast. You can find us over here on our YouTube channel where you can like and subscribe to the show. Picked up about 50 subscribers in the last week, so thank you guys so much if you are one of those 50 people that recently joined the podcast. Those of you checking us out for the first time, hit that subscribe button below and come back every single week for some winning plays, college football, NFL, and if you're a local fan of the Chiefs, Royals, KU football, KU basketball, you can also check us out for all that content. He's Greg. I'm Keegan Russell. Welcome into this week's edition of Game Day Gambles, the NFL slate. Last week, there were a lot of entertaining games. Unfortunately for me, Baltimore capped off the week, upsetting my place for the weekend and just crushing the Bills. But we got a lot of fun games this weekend to look at. Before we get into the games, I just kind of want to get your thought on the NFL season up to this point. Major surprises, major disappointments. There's some teams that are sitting there with some ugly records, and there's teams sitting here going, could they win the division? And I'm talking about a certain team. But yeah, let me get your thoughts on just season as a whole so far.
Yeah, look, I think if you've been following us, you've been making some money. We've been having a really good run. This is one of my best starts to a season ever. So, I think there's some surprises out there, right? I don't think anyone thought the Bengals would be this bad so far, and I don't think anyone thought, and this is where you're going, the Commanders would be this good. And it breaks my heart to call them the Commanders, so I'm just going to keep referring to them as the Redskins. So,
Washington football team.
Yeah, I'm going Skins. The Skins
They still have the petition to go back to both the old names and a petition for a new name.
I hope they go back to the Skins. I love the Skins. They look great. And I'm telling you right now, plus 240 to win that division is a fantastic bet. Do you trust the Eagles after what you saw? Do you?
Nope.
You trust the Cowboys?
You never have, never will.
Right. I mean, I love them at plus 240. Right?
Yeah, it's funny how both of us were thinking about this before we got on the podcast. Both of us had that same thought about the Commanders being the next team.
I forgot, everyone. Does anyone like East Rutherford High School at plus 14 or 1,500, whatever the hell they are? I mean, I don't. Maybe you do. I mean, hey, they're a great high school team, but in the NFL, you still need a quarterback, like I keep saying.
With that quarterback.
I think the Commanders are a great bet, but no, I think this season's been going well. Like I said, if you've been following this podcast, you've been making a lot of money in the NFL.
And speaking of just the Commanders being there, just want to throw this out there at the beginning of this episode. So this was something we talked about off air because both of us had the same thought on the Commanders coming into it. Greg put together a little parlay on some futures if you still want to get in on some divisions. This one, and I think I added to it as well. Bills to still win the AFC East despite getting embarrassed by the Ravens last week. We'll talk about them this week, but the Bills still seem like the team to win that division. So if you do Bills, Texans in the South because nobody wants to compete with them for that division, Commanders to come out on top in the East, that even though they're in first place, they're still plus money. And then the Detroit Lions, who I still think are the best team in the NFC, not in first place in that division, but if you parlay those four together to win the division, you're looking at plus 1,592. And if you don't like the Texans for some reason because they're a heavier favorite, you take them out, you're still at like plus 1,300. So you want to make some good money there on some reactions to the way the season started. There you go. Let's go to the slates, though. Let's start with Thursday Night Football. I think we've got an interesting matchup with the Buccaneers on the road against the Falcons. Buccaneers, no clue what happened to them against the Broncos. Still scratching my head wondering what the heck happened in that game as they got blown out. The Bucs bounced back in an impressive way, ending the Eagles game by the end of the first quarter. That game was not even close, but they open up on the road at Atlanta Thursday night, Atlanta, another primetime game for them on their schedule, looking to get another W in the win column there. Atlanta opens up as a minus 1.5 point favorite at home, over unders at 43. You were saying to me that pre-episode that this is one of those, not necessarily a gotcha game, but one that you think the public's going to be very wrong on. And why is that?
Well, I mean, look, Tampa looked great. Baker is looking awesome, right? They are playing fantastic defense. Tampa obviously is the best team in that division, and they're going to go in there, and they're going to beat Atlanta, right? Right? Wrong. The reason Atlanta's favored by 1.5 is because they want you to bet Tampa. The reason Vegas wants you to bet Tampa is because Atlanta will probably win this game like they won the last game against the Saints. They will eke it out late. They will find a way to squeak out a victory, and they'll win the game by 3. And everybody who bet Tampa and Baker will be going, what just happened? So for me, give me Atlanta. I'll happily probably play the money line because if they won by 1, I'd just be crying all night. So I'll probably lay the 125 so I can just get them to win the game instead of giving the 1.5. But give me Atlanta to win at home versus Tampa.
Yeah, to me, this looks like one of those 23, 21, 21, 19 type of games that win it on a field goal. Buccaneers offense that's been red hot, just get slowed down on the road in a divisional game. Next up, another team that we're still sitting here scratching our heads. How on earth they end up losing that game to the Broncos, just like the Buccaneers 2 weeks ago. That's the freaking New York Jets that I don't think really anybody understands what they are just yet. 2-2 football team on the road against one of the NFL's hottest teams in the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are a 2.5-point favorite at home. This is another game you have circled as an easy, no-brainer lock of the week to make some cash on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, first of all, correct Keegan for a second here. This game is not in Minnesota. It is in London. It starts at 9:30 Eastern. Just make sure you know that, because if you go to bed at 1 o'clock, you're going to be seeing a final score. So this game is 9:30 Eastern, not 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 out there at Keegan's time, or 8:30. So here's the thing, right? I mean, this is a slam dunk. How can the Vikings not blow the Jets out? I mean, the Jets look terrible. The Vikings just cannot be stopped. So we bet the Vikings, right? Or no? That is what they want you to think yet again. Let me tell you, I saw this game, and I want 2 of people I know listen to our show, Dave and Jimmy. They text me the minute this game came out and were like, "You're all over the Jets, aren't you, Greg?" And I said, "You bet your ass I am," because they are going to line up from Vegas to Minneapolis to bet the Vikings laying under a field goal to this Jets team. And here's what's going to happen. Somehow, some way, the Jets are either going to win this game or they're going to lose by 2, and everyone's going to be going, I don't understand how I just lost everything. And that's what happens in the NFL, because it is a week-to-week league, and everybody acts and reacts emotionally.
Yep.
Everyone's going to bet the Vikings after what they saw last week, because they're all pissed that they lost their money in moneyline parlays and teasers and everything else with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets at home against the Broncos. But what you might not have seen is the weather. I live here. The weather was terrible. You couldn't get a grip on the ball. So throw that game out the window. Both defenses played well, and the Jets did have a chance to win, but kicking a long field goal in that weather was not easy. So didn't happen. I get it. Vikings scored 1 touchdown. That was the difference in the game, right? Jets got a bunch of field goals. Like I said, the weather was terrible. Jets rebound in London, beat the Vikings, give them their first loss. Thank you for playing Sam Darnold.
Cash it in right there. I like it. Let's go to the team we mentioned. How about Commanders 3.5-point favorite at home to the Browns, who next to the Giants, I don't know which team, even though the Giants beat them, which team looks worse?
Yeah, so for me, this one, I'm gonna add the Commanders to we give you all that monster teaser every week, which is this 13-point special at DraftKings -140, which we are 3-1 on the year now. I'm gonna put the Commanders in that, and I'm gonna move that line so they're getting 9.5. I think they win the game. I do. I'm a Commanders guy now. I don't think they're gonna lose to the Browns at home. Could they win by a field goal? Yes. So this one wasn't on the top of my list to play with the spread, but I'm going to add the Commanders in my monster teaser.
Yeah, there's just nothing about the Browns that gives you any confidence they can do anything. Deshaun Watson, we've said it every single week, worst contract in the history of sports. Can't throw the ball, can somewhat run the ball himself. He's got great weapons around him and can't really get them involved that well. The Browns just look terrible. Commanders look way better than they were coming into the year. Jaden Daniels is starting to figure it out. He's starting to throw the ball a little bit better too, in addition to running. So I like that one there. Let's go to another divisional game. How about the winless Jacksonville Jaguars, who head coach Doug Peterson might not even make it through the end of the season the way things are going? Had a terrible press conference the other day, basically throwing the players under the bus. They are somehow, though, a 3-point favorite at home despite being winless. Some of that could be the Anthony Richardson injury up in the air. But, man, Joe Flacco looked like he turned the clock back another 6 years, just like he did last year with Cleveland. But the Colts on the road, a 3.5-point dog.
So look, again, it's a week-to-week league. The Jags have shown these like little blips of them being a decent team, like they were. We forget last year. I mean, they started the season out hot. They looked like they're going to be a top seed in the AFC, and then they went on a enormous losing streak, which has spilled over into this year. I think it's 9 games in a row that Lawrence has lost as a starting quarterback. I think this is the one he wins. I think the Colts are an average team. I think they're better at home than anything else. Their defense goes through periods where they're a little shaky. Jacksonville has shown the ability to move the ball. I think this will be the game that they explode. I feel very comfortable laying the 3. Probably wouldn't even care if I was laying 6 because I think they'll win this game by a full touchdown.
This one's interesting to me because Jacksonville's played 4 games. They've only had 1 home game, so they've played majority on the road. So I think some of that plays into their woes. When you're playing away from home, it's just tough. So the fact that they get to come back home, this has to be kind of like this is their season might be on the line this week. So they need to go out and get it done. So yes, you would think that they would be much more locked in. This is one I'm going to disagree with you on because I just think that locker room with the way things are going with Doug Peterson, there's no cohesion there as a group. The Colts, whether they have Richardson or not, I think are in a better place situation-wise, and I think Jonathan Taylor just controls that run game. So I'm going to go the opposite. I think I have the Colts in this one in a battle of which team wants to contend at all with Houston. So let's talk about Houston. This could be one of the most interesting games of the week. 2 incredibly high-scoring offenses. You know, the Bills 3-1, Texans 3-1. Bills are a 1-point favorite on the road in Houston. Bills though got spanked this last week. They looked really bad. Houston, dropped that ugly game to Minnesota where they looked really bad. But 2 teams that can put up points and they can put up points quick. Over under set at 47.5. I kind of am intrigued by that one as the over, but 2 teams that can put up a lot of points. What's your thoughts on this game here?
Well, here's another one, right? This is we need a little something to put up on the screen. This is your overreaction game of the week, where everybody is going to say, and I'm talking to you, Jimmy Verga. Everyone is going to say, Houston at home, giving 1. They're good teams, but the home team's going to win. Right? Wrong. Here's another one you're going to lose your ass on. There's a reason the Bills are a 1-point favorite. The Bills are a phenomenal team. They are a good team. Josh Allen, to me, is still the best player in this game. He is going to go in there. He's coming off a loss. They're going to go into Texas and beat the Texans. Look, I said this last week, and I'll say it again. The Ravens are a good team. They are a top 3 team. The class of the AFC is the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Bills. Whether you want to accept it or not, those are your 3 best teams. The Ravens were going to beat the Bills at home. It was going to happen. The Ravens are good. I know they had some bad luck the first couple of games, and they let teams back in the game. They are a good team, everyone. So the Bills losing, even though they got spanked in Baltimore, doesn't concern me. The Bills have played 3 great games. They're going to go into Houston, and they're going to outscore the Texans. The Texans' D is shaky. They should have lost last week against Jacksonville. They got away with one. Ain't going to get away with it with the Bills. The Bills, like I said before, they play a bend but don't break defense most weeks. Mm-hmm. They'll do it again. They'll get a big turnover, and they'll win that game.
And I would like to think that the Bills want to make an emphasis to point out that they don't need Stephon Diggs. So going up against him, I think Diggs has a bad game. And I think Josh Allen puts up some monster numbers, 300 yards plus passing, 2 to 3 touchdowns. He's going to sprinkle to everybody. I like that one a lot there. Let's go to another afternoon slate. Another divisional game on the West Coast. Cardinals on the road at the 49ers. For me, this is my upset pick of the week. I have gotten at least one upset pick right every single week so far. And despite the fact that the 49ers have looked pretty good for the most part with some of their key guys going out, I think the Cardinals on the road, this is another kind of statement game for them. Kyler Murray has been okay, but they've got enough weapons. Marvin Harrison's been fantastic. And when Marvin Harrison gets the ball, this team looks fantastic. And when Trey McBride's involved, this team looks great. So I kind of like this as an upset pick personally. And if not as an upset pick, 7.5-point favorite to a divisional opponent. Divisional games always seem to be close. I said this about the 49ers Rams a few weeks ago. Rams upset them. So I like Arizona on the road to cover the 7.5, but I also like them as an upset pick this week.
Yeah, I mean, look, this was a pass for me. It wasn't on my list here, but here's what I'll say: both of these teams are inconsistent. I can't figure out either one. I think the Niners are good. They're just injury ridden right now, and I think they're a decent team. And as they get healthier, they're just going to get better and better. Can't figure the Cardinals out. Are they good? Are they not good? I don't know. The offense should be good, but last week was a little concerning. The Commanders went in there and punched them right in the mouth. So I don't know. I don't know what I feel about the Cards yet. I'm not ready to trust them. I got to see what they do this week. This could be
Yeah.
a good. This could be a good in-game bet, though. If you're watching it and you see how this game starts, this could be a good in-game bet to take the Cards if they're playing well in that first or second quarter.
Yeah, I like that there. How about you got any thoughts on Packers Rams?
I didn't have that on my list either. I do have the Packers as part of my super teaser, though. I think the Packers will play competitively. I think they win last week, everyone. If Jordan Love doesn't make some pretty bad decisions. I mean, they moved the ball, they missed field goals, and he threw three ridiculous interceptions, right? One wasn't his fault, but three of them were definitely his fault. And the last one he threw, when he just heaved it up in the end zone with 6 minutes to go, was one of the dumbest throws I've seen in a long time. They were back. They were going to win that game if he just stayed patient. But he got impatient. He threw it up for grabs, threw an interception. That kind of was the last nail in the coffin. You kind of knew they weren't coming back at that point.
Yeah, I think they go out and win this one. The Rams did not look. I mean, Kyron Williams is great, but no wide receivers to throw to. Packers have like 12 wide receivers to throw to, so I like that there. All right, three big games left on the schedule for me. We got to talk about. Let's go to the other big time matchup that I think is going to have probably the most eyeballs on this game. That's another divisional game. This is the weekend of divisional games, and that is the Ravens coming off of their monster victory against the Bills on Monday night, on the road to take the 1-3 Bengals, who a week ago looked like one of the worst teams in football. They finally get their first win of the season. Another game that you like, that you think the public is going to be way wrong on.
Yeah, I think once again we're going to react and we're going to say there is no way the Ravens don't win this game. And again, I think you're going to be scratching your head going, wait, how did they know the Bengals were going to be competitive? Because if this line was 6.5, then I'd be here going, all right, you got to bet the Ravens, right? Like, I mean, they're giving 6.5. Everyone's going to bet the Bengals getting 6.5 at home, but it's not. It's 2.5. It's under a field goal. And I think this is going to be one of those games where Joe Burrow lights up the scoreboard and everyone's going, oh my God, are the Bengals actually good? Are they back? They're defending their home turf against their biggest rival in the division, the Ravens. I think that's what we're going to see. I think the Bengals are going to show flashes of, hey, maybe we are a contender. And I think they're going to play this game either close and just lose, another one where it winds up being one of these crazy 2-point games where the underdog gets away with the cover, or they're going to win outright and they're going to move to 2-3.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. I don't think the Bengals are buried just yet. You get another week with T. Higgins back there in that offense. You've got two major threats down the field. And I also think Lou Anarumo is a really good defensive coordinator. I think he's a guy that, for these types of games, draws up an impressive game plan to keep it close. And the Bengals tend to be pretty good in very close games. Now, obviously, Washington just put up points left and right against them, but another divisional type game, these always feel super close. I think I'm with you there that the Bengals come out and make a statement this week that they are not out of the water just yet. Okay, 2 games left. Let's go to Sunday Night Football. In the Cowboys, the disappointment that they always are every single year, even though this is their year, according to their fan base that they've been saying for the last 25 years. They are on the road against the Steelers, who, not the sexiest team out there, not the most beautiful looking team offensively or defensively, both top and bottom. But again, we said it every single week that Mike Tomlin figures out how to get things done. They've got probably the best football player in the league, or the best defensive player, at least, in TJ Watt. And as you said a couple weeks ago, is TJ Watt missing this game? Doesn't look like it. Cowboys on the road, 2.5 point dog. I feel like this is still another week where we go Steelers.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is another one of those games where everyone is going to line up to bet the Cowboys getting points at the Steelers, because nobody still thinks the Steelers are that good. They don't believe in Justin Fields. And I get it. I get why you think that way. However, I think The Cowboys have all kinds of injuries now on defense. There's a lot of people who are doubtful, not even questionable, including Micah Parsons. So I think the Steelers will be able to run the ball. I think Justin Fields will do his thing where he scrambles and runs. I think this is the week where Pickens finally gets in the end zone and his frustration finally goes away. And I think the Steelers will cover the 2.5, and I think they'll do it pretty easily because I think this is another one of those games where everyone's going to bet the 2.5. They're going to tease them up. They're going to money line them. They're going to do all these things with the Cowboys, and they're going to unfortunately lose more money because I think this is a game the Steelers win. They move to 4-1. The Cowboys move to 2-3. I don't think the Cowboys are as good as advertised, and I think the Steelers are much, much better than advertised.
Yep. I also like the under in this 42.5. I think the Steelers can limit the Cowboys. I mean, the Cowboys are an explosive play kind of scoring team. They're not going to put up a ton of points just moving the ball down the field. It's an explosive play over the top to CeeDee Lamb. It's a big time touchdown to Jake Ferguson. It's a defensive pick six. That's how they get a lot of their big touchdowns. And I think the Steelers defense can contain the big type plays. And the offense, they're not going to put up 30, but they could go out and win this thing 17-14. They could go out and win this 20-17. So yeah, I like the Steelers there too. All right, last game on the slate, and then we'll give a couple more parlays and things out. But Saints at Chiefs Monday Night Football, big time Monday Night Football matchup. Saints on the road in Kansas City. Chiefs are a heavier favorite. I'm a little surprised that they are 5-point favorite considering they have all of their top guys on offense out. Still have questions about Travis Kelce. I know he exploded this last weekend for a big-time game. But the Saints, who are another one of those back-and-forth teams, they look really good one week, bad the next week. They have a lot of offensive firepower. 5-point road dog. I still think the Saints – I have the Chiefs winning this game, but I have this – obviously because I'm the local guy. But I have the Saints covering here. They have enough weapons offensively. We know the Chiefs' defense is one of the best ones out there. But how is this offense going to look against a pretty good Saints defense? The big storyline for me, though, in this game is Derek Carr. Derek Carr has never been that great against the Chiefs. We've got his number, but this time around, I think Derek Carr's got the most weapons he's ever played with. So I still think they keep it close.
Yeah, I think 5 is a good number. I'm going to take the 5, and I think this number might even move up a little bit. This is another game with that 5 number. It's a little scary if I'm a Chiefs fan because you know everyone's going to be teasing this down to 1 in those 6-point teasers. You know they're going to be betting the money line. Chiefs can't lose. They're not going to lose this game. Like I said last week and a couple weeks before, the Chiefs aren't going to go undefeated. They're going to lose a couple games. I mean, if the call was called correctly, they lose to the Falcons, but you cheated. It's fine. I get it. It's all right. We get it. This could be the game that the Saints maybe pull off an upset. I don't know, but I'm gonna take the 5 here and think that the Saints defense is good enough to keep it close. The Chiefs are running out of weapons. Contain Kelce, contain Worthy, and then what else you got to do? I mean, Rice is now gone. Pacheco's gone.
Hey, Kareem Hunt, though.
Kareem Hunt looked great. I'm a Kareem Hunt guy to begin with. I've liked him since he came in the league. He looked good, but I mean, I think that the Saints clog up the run to begin with, and I think Kareem Hunt is not Isaiah Pacheco at this point in his career. So I think they'll have an easier time containing him than they would have if Pacheco was playing. I'm sure you agree with that as a Chiefs fan. But I'd like to hear your take real quick on how your quarterback took out your best receiver. Just curious.
Definitely played a factor. I think it was more after the ball was caught by the defense that things went awry. But yeah, that was a bad throw. Mahomes is good at doing that right now. I mean, he's gone, I think, 8 straight games with an interception. So bet him to throw an interception again this week. He tends to force the ball where it shouldn't go. And this week, without having some legitimate targets, I think he's going to try and force it here and there. They're going to try and get Kelce involved, and I think a safety is going to be able to read his eyes enough to get that. So that's frustrating. But yeah, the Chiefs are throwing receivers out there. Xavier Worthy had a big time touchdown last week, and you hope to see more of that. But if you look up and down the rest of that group, you're looking at guys that probably aren't on 70% of the league's wide receiver core. I mean, Sky Moore still can't freaking catch a pass, and he's getting snaps. McCole Hardman's getting snaps, but they're not even using him. Justin Watson's Mr. Reliable, but he only gets 2 or 3 targets a game. And then Juju Smith-Schuster, he's one half tackle away from tearing his ACL again, even though he's looked okay. So yeah, I mean the Chiefs struggle to score points. Let's be honest; their offense is not what it's been, but the defense is really good. And I think this is a game that you have two pretty solid defenses that are going to keep this back and forth. So whoever ends up on top of this game, I don't see this being a high scoring game. I see this being a little bit lower game of some more field goals. But the Chiefs struggle to find the end zone, and they don't put up a lot of points. And even though the Chargers, Justin Herbert looked okay last week coming off an injury, the Chargers still kept that close enough and they covered. So that's why I think I lead Saints. Now I've got some other specific plays about this game I like, but I think Saints are good enough to keep this close, and Mahomes is going to have at least one bad throw that gives the Saints an opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I think this is the first time in my, 35 years of watching football week in and week out and remembering it, that I've seen a quarterback be the one who ruined his receiver's season by taking him out at the knee. Never seen that before on an interception return. I'm sure Mahomes feels terrible. Look, for me, it's always the X factor with Mahomes. I think Allen still is the best player in the league. I do, but Mahomes is by far the best winner in the league. Somehow, some way, he finds a way to win. He's an amazing quarterback. So would it shock me if the Chiefs win? Of course not. But do I think they cover 5? No, I think this is one of the games that they have to sweat it out. Would not surprise me at all if they're kicking a 50-yard field goal to win it as time expires.
Yeah, and while you were talking, I was looking up just a couple other books. FanDuel's got the Chiefs as a 5.5-point favorite. So I already have one play there on FanDuel for Saints to cover plus 5.5, get that extra half point. This feels like a game. I know it's early, but come Sunday evening, we'll have a little bit more idea of who's playing, who's not, and all that. I think this line starts getting closer to 4.5, 3.5. So just go ahead and let me get the Saints to cover a bigger chunk now. All right, that's all the games. I know you got your teasers to throw out there and some TD round robins. But what do you got for us to make some extra cash this weekend?
Monster teaser. I like the Seahawks, the Bears, the Packers, and Commanders. Again, you move the line 13 points in your favor, minus 140. We are 3-1 on the season. That's what I'm going to lock in for the monster teaser this week. Seahawks, Bears.
I will post that like always.
So, your thoughts? You like it?
I do. I mean, again, this 3-1's pretty solid. So why change what we've been doing? Keep it up. 75% clip. It's pretty good. And obviously, the more we do this, the more we think that inches up. So I love it.
So for the TDs, look, again, like I said, if you listen to our week 1 kickoff, we only got to hit one of these and we're going to make a ton of money this year because it's that profitable. So we got 4 of them in 1 week. We got 3 of them in another week. 2 weeks we swung and missed. Last week, unfortunately, we didn't get anyone in the end zone. But for this week, I thought I'd go with a little theme here because I don't know what's going on in the NFL this year, but for some reason, I think the quarterbacks forgot that tight ends actually catch passes. So I'm going to go with a tight end theme for most of this. Here is my 5-man round robin TD. It's going to be Pitts, McBride, Kelsey, Kincaid, and then we're going to sprinkle in a wide receiver with Pickens, who is dying to get in the end zone. And this will pay a small fortune if it comes in.
Yeah, I was this close this last weekend. Buffalo really shot the bed for me in hitting a 6-leg TD play. I did hit a round robin 3 out of 6 that I did. Not a big play on it, but yeah, I'm having fun with these round robins every single week. I thank you for introducing these to me. I am getting at least 3 of my 5 right every single time, so I'm still making a little bit. I'm having a lot of fun with these. I think a couple guys you could throw in every single week into these round robins and feel pretty good with: Jonathan Taylor, Kyron Williams. Throw those 2 in as a surefire. Barkley cost me one this week, not getting the end zone. Freaking Jalen Hurts stole it from him like he tends to do when they get inside the 3. But these are a lot of fun. They're a good way to sprinkle a little bit and have a big time payout for sure. But yeah, any plays? I don't have any parlays yet. Again, this is still early in the week, so I know I'll have more. And for those that are wanting some Chief stuff, I'll have some plays later. It's not up yet, but I like a Kareem Hunt anytime touchdown in his first game back in Arrowhead, Monday Night Football. I love that play. Obviously, they'll get some of those lines out as we get closer.
Yeah, we got just two things. We got two fantasy questions this week, Keegan. So here's question one. It is, what do you do with the Miami Dolphins receivers?
Well, personally, I'm sitting Tyreek Hill this week. Now, I've got a plethora of receivers that I feel pretty good with, but back-to-back weeks he's done nothing. I think Tyler Huntley's still going to be the starter next week, and I think after a full week of practice, they'll look better. And they try to get creative getting Tyreek Hill involved. But I don't love it, and the Patriots are really good at shutting down your top weapon. So maybe the play this week is Waddle, but I think I'm steering clear of the Dolphins this week, if you ask me. Especially Devon A-Chain. I'm not playing A-Chain this week either.
I feel the same way. It's very, very hard right now to trust the Dolphins offense, and I get it if you're out there in fantasy land, because I got over 40 fantasy teams, so I get where you're coming from.
That's just insane.
I mean, what do you do with Hill? What do you do with Waddle? What do you do with A-Chain? You don't want to sit them because you wasted such a high draft pick on them. So I get where you're coming from, but I think at this point you got to have the discipline to just say, you know what, I got to take a chance with someone else, because the odds of these guys going off right now are not very good. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, and thankfully for me, the league I'm in that I have Tyreek was my first pick in that league. But I have Deontay Johnson and DJ Moore as my two receivers I'm starting. And then my other option, if need be, is Jackson Smith and Jigba. And had it not been a bye week, then Jameson Williams. So I feel pretty good that if Tyreek Hill still has a good game somehow, that I'm not going to get hurt too bad. But yeah, it's incredibly frustrating to watch. Who would have thought, even though I think a lot of people like to make fun of Tua, that their offense would fall apart as bad as it has without him out there. Hope he gets better. Don't know if he's ever going to take another snap again. But the Dolphins offense is a hard one to want to play right now for sure.
The second question we got was for you, and it was from one of our listeners out here by me, who said, hey, can you ask Keegan, who would you pick up off the waiver wires as a wide receiver for the Chiefs now that Rice is out?
Oh, who should the Chiefs pick up?
Who should they pick up in fantasy?
Oh, I got you. Oh, well,
that's down funny on your depth chart, because now Rice is gone.
Yeah, I was actually going to make a separate video for this week, a little quick clip. One of the guys I really like that's only across the majority of fantasy leagues is only rostered in less than 30% of leagues. And that is Wan'Dale Robinson from the Giants. He's getting increased target share each week. Malik Neighbors took a mighty shot last week, and whether he plays or not, he's going to be banged up. So I really like Wan'Dale Robinson as a pickup this week if you don't have him already. Some leagues, there's a lot of Packer receivers out there because of how much they go back and forth. I'm honestly in a league that has Khalil Shakir as a waiver wire option. I like that. Xavier Legette's going to start getting a little bit more run time now that there's a quarterback who can throw the ball. But if you had to pick one, I think I would go Wan'Dale Robinson. Josh Downs is another intriguing one as he gets back in the swing of things. And then again, one of my leagues has Keon Coleman available. So it depends on, if you're in a 12-man league, I don't think you're going to have quite those guys. But if you had to give me one guy this week, if he's available, it's Wan'Dale Robinson.
Is there anybody on the Chiefs?
He basically is the Rashee Rice mold. Now on the Chiefs,
anyone on the Chiefs you would pick up because Rice is now, those targets are available? Or is there anyone you trust? Would you take a shot on Sky Moore?
Oh, heck no. No, definitely not. Sky Moore, he's going to get snaps. Mahomes isn't throwing him the ball. Who's the most reliable left would be Justin Watson. I think he's good for 3 catches for 45 yards. But from a fantasy play, I don't think I would play a Chiefs receiver. Juju, maybe he's available in most every single league, but I don't think he's going to get you the production. Justin Watson's the safest pick, but I think I would steer clear. Like this to me, this upcoming week has two guys to look for, and that's Travis Kelce, Kareem Hunt. That's where the ball's going majority of the time. And honestly, Noah Gray would be another intriguing one. If you needed a tight end, like if you're streaming tight ends each week. But yeah, from a Rashee Rice replacement on the Chiefs, no. But if you can pick up a guy that is Rashee Rice like, I think it is Wan'Dale Robinson. He's the kind of guy that can eat in the middle. You can get him on a nice crosser, get him 10 plus targets every single game and eat it up. I guess I misheard that when you asked it the first time. Yeah, I would not touch a Chiefs receiver for a while. They're going to have to make a move. I'll have another episode about that later too, about what options they do have. But yeah, if it's not Travis Kelce, like the Chiefs are going to run the ball. That's funny. I say that, but Andy Reid does not run the ball a lot. He's going to find a way to pass this thing. So if you had to, I'd say Justin Watson.
There you go. All right. So you got your answers, Justin Watson, and move on from the Dolphins for now until we get a stable quarterback back there. So
yeah,
thank
appreciate
you
the questions. Feel free to send them in every week. You know, if I had more time on the schedule each week, I would also do a lot more fantasy stuff. But we're going to try and mix that into some of these each week too. So yeah, send us any questions you've got. You can follow us over on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, as you see there on the bottom at KCSA Pod. Send in any questions you have each week. You can post questions here in YouTube in the chat. And we'll try and cover them the following week. But yeah, that'll wrap it up for this week's edition of Game Day Gambles on the NFL slate. Don't forget, we've also got our college football episode up if you want to find some plays there. And then for all of you local fans, we'll have some more Chiefs and Royals content up this week as the Royals are in the playoffs for the first time in nearly a decade. But yeah, thank you guys for checking us out in this one. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below. Help get us over 1,000 subscribers as we're getting ever so closely each week. We appreciate all the support you guys have given us so far. That'll wrap it up for this one. We'll catch you guys in the next episode.